Ladies and gents, how are you doing? The freshly shorn Bootneck is here to drop some more truth bombs on you. It's almost boring. Talking about this story now, but alas, it's all over the news today, so I've got to cover it. And it's boring because if you haven't noticed in the last few years that the government has been purposely trying to disenfranchise you because they enjoy making you angry and sowing the seeds of discontent, then you've been walking around with a sack stapled to your head for the last few years. So it's dull, it's boring talking about it, but here it is. Big story in the Telegraph today. Obviously we all know about two-tier justice. Now we've even got two-tier bail. Stories from the Telegraph. Ethnic minority suspects given priority for bail. Fresh two-tier justice row as judges are advised to take account of historical trauma suffered by suspects. Historical trauma, yeah. So what is it? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's more commie gibberish. Yeah, that's what it is. They even use the same buzzwords, the same commie buzzwords they love spitting out with alacrity whilst everybody else who's sane in the world points at them and laughs. Lived experience, denying agency, using black bodies, boring. Ethnic minority criminal suspects are being given priority by judges considering bail under new two-tier justice guidelines drawn up by the Ministry of Justice. Judges and magistrates have been told they should prioritise the cases of ethnic minorities, women and transgender subjects because they may be at disproportionately higher risk of being remanded into custody. The guidance also advises judges to take account of trauma suffered by suspects whose relatives experienced racism or discrimination. Yeah, commie gibberish. Exhibit A. What do you mean, historical trauma? That is one of those buzzwords that these ludicrous woke academics love talking about. We must dismantle the mechanisms of the patriarchy against historical injustice. Listen, humans don't work that way. We don't download the memories of our grandparents into us like R2-D2. It doesn't work that way. My granddad had an enduring hatred of the Japanese because he fought in World War II and half of his mates helped build the bloody railway in Burma, right? We know what the kitchen taps got up to in World War II, but guess what? The Bootneck liked it in Japan and he likes Japanese people and he spent a lot of time over there, so he didn't get his granddad's prejudices, right? So conversely, even if we accept their historically ignorant, illiterate fiction, it's just fiction. It's not ignorant, it's a blatant fiction. Their fictional accounting of historical events. Even if we accepted it and they tell us some cock and bull story about how some Jamaican fella had to balance one-legged on a bread crate with some electrodes attached to his testicles because he got caught stealing in 1930, right? That doesn't mean that his grandkids have got historical trauma. It just doesn't. If I pick up a history book and find out that me great-granddad, our family legend, I don't know how true it is that well, I think my great-great-granddad or somebody was the last person to get hanged in Middlesbrough. That's what my old fella always told me, or my granddad told him. I don't know how true it is, but reading about that type of stuff wouldn't alarm me. If I was to read a book and go, oh, look at this, they hanged one of my ancestors for theft, you'd go, yeah, there's an amusing historical curiosity, and then you get on with your day. The premise is false, because the premise is based off the ludicrous woke commie mind virus that teaches all of this stuff verbatim, and all of the adherents of the cult have swallowed hook, line and sinker, but everybody else, the people who haven't got a room temperature IQ, know that it's total bollocks. So there's no need to worry about important historical events which may have had a greater impact on those from specific groups. When you're talking about sentencing someone for robbing a post office with a pump-action shotgun, it's not relevant. Campaigners have claimed that black British people can suffer from trauma originally inflicted on their ancestors by the slave trade. Yeah, and if your granddad got his legs blown off in the trenches in World War One, you'll wake up in cold sweats. My legs, where are they? Won't you? Because things that happen to your distant relatives definitely give you brain damage. Everybody knows that. Judges are urged to consider additional support and reports on such groups in deciding whether to free people on bail or detain them. The document seen by the Telegraph is likely to inflame the row over two-tier justice sparked by sentencing guidelines due to take effect on Tuesday. They require judges to consider an offender's racial, cultural and religious background when deciding whether to impose a custodial punishment. Do I need to go on with this totally ludicrous, backwards, brain dead, shit for brains ideology? It's completely ludicrous to everybody and anybody with the ability to defeat a severely handicapped 7-year-old child in a pub quiz knows it. However, I will read one last sentence by Robert Jenrick, if only to prove that even a broken clock is right twice a day. Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Secretary, said Labour tried to hoodwink the public that they oppose two-tier justice, but this proves they are peddling it. From bail through to sentencing, two-tier Keir is presiding over a justice system determined to treat ethnic minorities more leniently. Yes, they are, Robert, but your party of wet blankets will do the exact same thing anyway. You talk a good game when you're out of office, and when you're in, 1 million swarthy foreigners a year and more money for the likes of Mick Philpott and all of the other career dollies with webbed feet who multiply like wet gremlins because everybody else is too busy working. So that's it. It's official. You are a second-class citizen in your own country. Your government hates you and they are purposely disenfranchising you. I would suggest it's very, 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 very dangerous to purposely spit in the face of the general public and laugh at them and tell them you haven't got an option at the ballot box anymore. None of the tiny right-wing parties can win. Labour and the Conservatives have got a minuscule amount of support. Nigel's tanking in the polls. Basically, you don't live in a free country, you haven't got an option at the polls, and you've just got to like it and lump it. That is until it all massively kicks off and everything burns down. At least people like me have told you it was coming for a very, very long time. I hope you're taking measured steps to take care of your nearest and dearest when the United Kingdom ends up like a banana republic and the only thing the Houses of Parliament will be any use for is cooking marshmallows on the embers. All right, that's me for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if you think these guidelines make total sense because you frequently wake up in a cold sweat because you're having terrible night terrors due to the effects of the Battle of the Somme on your great-great-granddad. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.